Guys, it's Jonathan from the world famous Kissimmee Muscle 24-hour gym, and we're here. We're excited to be kicking off one of the new series of Weight Room Archaeology, showcasing some of the great old school pieces of equipment and really talking about what makes them great, as well as what differentiates them not only from the others that are in the market. Sometimes there are only a handful that are in the market as competitors. Sometimes there are two or three, but also what makes them different than the other pieces. We've realized that saying, hey, we got another great leg press, may leave some people saying, so what, you've got some leg presses. But there are meaningful differences between the action of these pieces, and so we're going to get started with the Paramount Total leg, which is an iconic piece, a rare piece, and a hard to get piece, and I think I see it right over there. This piece from Paramount Total leg, also known as the Paramount Pendulum Squat, is an iconic and rare piece, an expensive piece now, if you can find one that you can get a hold of. But they're so quick to be scraped up when they're listed for sale. Usually within a couple minutes, these things sell. And there are a number of different things that make it a really good piece. I believe it's the best piece in the market. Second in the market, in my opinion, is the Arsenal Strength model, and I'll tell you what some of those differences are as well as we get into this. Basics with the Paramount Pendulum Squat or swing squat. To load the weights, you load the weights on the back end, though this is a very heavy starting weight, and it is that because it has a high fulcrum and a long lever that puts you in a mechanically disadvantaged position, so your quads are forced to work in different ways than they would with regular free weights. You unload the weights by placing weights on the front, so you're counterbalancing it when you do that. Loading the weights on the back creates greater force throughout your movement. And this one, I would say, versus the Arsenal Strength piece, you're going to have about 50% of the weight that you would use on the Arsenal Strength piece on this piece because of the length of the lever arm, because it starts well below parallel, and so you're using a very deep mechanical disadvantage as a starting place. So versus the Arsenal Strength piece, I would say you've got about 50% heavier piece with the Paramount Pendulum Squat in a plate-by-plate basis. So one plate on here equals 2 plates on the Arsenal Strength piece, and that's because of a couple different reasons. First, on the Paramount, you've got a longer lever arm, you've got a higher fulcrum, and you've got a deeper starting position. The Arsenal Strength piece is more towards parallel from a starting position, thereby making this a greater mechanical disadvantage. Now, I like both of the pieces because sometimes when my knees are pretty raw from training, this one's difficult to use because it's so heavy, and I can still use the Arsenal Strength piece because it's a little bit lighter load. In general, you're also going to place your feet at the bottom more for quads, feet at the top more for glutes, but that's in general with any leg exercise because the top position causes more hip flexion. With the Paramount Pendulum Squat, where I feel this most is in the outer quadriceps, up near the greater trochanter, on the lateral side of the quad. I feel it pretty deep within there. I also feel it quite a bit in the vastus medialis or teardrop towards the top of that piece. And again, I've got to be pretty well stretched, pretty well warmed up to even engage in this exercise because it is so mechanically difficult and demanding from the get-go. One of my favorite pieces. I'd use it every time I train legs if I could. Sometimes, though, I'm too beat up to be able to use it. Do think it would be good to have the Arsenal piece in here as well, to have just that variety, the difference between the two. And then all of the other, quote, pendulum squats, in my opinion, aren't worth having. These are the only two, the Arsenal and the Paramount Pendulum, that are worthwhile.